Space Mountain is arguably the most famous roller coaster in the world, and in this video, I am going to review the version at Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. Located in Tomorrowland in the iconic white conical dome, the version in Florida is the largest. This dome stands a whopping 183 feet, or 56 meters tall, and is 300 feet, or 91.5 meters in diameter. For reference, Disneyland Space Mountain is about a third smaller, at just 118 feet tall and 200 feet in diameter. The version in Florida is the original Space Mountain. Walt Disney World's version is radically different than the other Space Mountains, and that goes back to the ride's history. In 1959, Disneyland opened the Matterhorn bobsleds, the world's first tubular steel roller coaster, and it was a resounding success. This convinced Walt Disney that thrill rides had a place at Disneyland. In the 1960s, Walt pitched the concept of an indoor roller coaster in the dark themed to outer space. And throughout the decade, Imagineers developed what was originally called Space Voyage, then that later became Space Mountain. But in 1966, after Walt Disney's death, Disneyland Space Mountain was put on indefinite hold. The original concept had 4 different tracks, and this would not fit into the cramped confines of Disneyland. Flash forward to 1971, the first park at Walt Disney World opened in the Magic Kingdom. The new Florida park was more popular than expected with teens and adults. So Imagineering looked to bring a copy of the Matterhorn bobsleds to Florida, but there was a problem. Florida's Fantasyland did not have enough room for the Swiss Mountain. So instead, Imagineers revived the Space Mountain concept for Walt Disney World. Florida's Tomorrowland had plenty of room to accommodate a giant mountain, and the park got RCA as a sponsor to help cover the ride's large price tag. The original concept was refined from 4 tracks down to just 2, just like the Matterhorn. Then 4 years later in 1975, Space Mountain opened at the Magic Kingdom to much fanfare. And as you may know, this would not be the only Space Mountain. Disneyland would install their own Space Mountain, albeit a smaller one, in 1977. Not only was the ride's dome smaller, but the ride would only have 1 track, and that track was radically different. It was wider, which allowed for 2 across seating. This meant that each train in the Disneyland version could seat 12 riders, compared to the Disney World version that had inline seating and could only seat 6 riders. The layout was also significantly different. Florida's focused more on drops, while Disneyland's was more of a constant downhill spiral. The smaller footprint of Disneyland's version is one of the reasons why clones of that version were brought to Tokyo Disneyland in 1983, and later Hong Kong Disneyland in 2005. Paris also received their own Space Mountain in 1995, but that one was considerably different. For one, it was located in Discoveryland with a Jules Verne theme. Second, it was a launched looping roller coaster, closer in style to Rock 'n' Roller Coaster than the other Space Mountains. I have a separate review on the Paris version of this ride, which now goes by Hyperspace Mountain, but is easily the most intense attraction at any Disney park worldwide. But back to the Magic Kingdom Space Mountain. This ride is almost 50 years old, but it's still arguably the most popular ride in the entire park, so it often has one of the longest lines at the entire resort. My recommendation is to ride it first thing in the morning, or at the end of the night when Disney often inflates the ride's posted wait time. Or you can try to pull a fast pass. Unfortunately, Space Mountain does not have a single rider line. It would probably help a lot since the ride's inline seating leads to single seats being fairly common, but the ride's queue line was not designed with a single rider line in mind. The queue line is a long tunnel that brings you inside the mountain, which is actually located outside the park's boundaries. At one point, the queue line includes some interactive games, but those have since been removed and replaced by windows showing images of space. The 2 tracks ride identically to me, but if you care about getting both credits, Disney will allow you to request a specific side. By default, they will assign you to the side with the shortest wait when you reach the station. Alpha is on the left and Omega is on the right. Once you reach the end of the line, you will be assigned a row. If you have a specific seating request, Disney is more than happy to honor it. I think the back car is the place you want to ride Space Mountain. And if you're taller, take note that the front row of each rocket, so rows 1 and 5, have much less legroom to me. The other seats are fine. Outside of that minor issue, I love the trains. They remind me of log flumes in a way since they sit so low, and you have to wrap your legs around the seat in front of you. But the seats are extremely well cushioned, which is something you'll be thankful for. Plus, the T-bar restraints give you plenty of room to experience airtime. And yes, this Disney coaster has legit airtime. Once dispatched, you head down a light tunnel, and the clearances are ridiculously tight in here. I'm pretty sure guests could touch the ceiling if they wanted to, but I don't advise doing that. At the end of the tunnel, you turn towards the lift, but not before your on-ride photo is taken. You then climb the 90-foot tall or 27.5 meter tall lift. The ride also has a solid length at 3,190 feet or 972 meters. But there are two stats that stand out as underwhelming. The maximum drop is just 26 feet or 8 meters tall, and the maximum speed is just 30 miles per hour or 48 kilometers per hour. Those two stats place Space Mountain in the category of a family ride, but anyone who has ridden Space Mountain knows that this ride feels far faster and wilder than those stats indicate. It all comes down to the atmosphere. The fact the dome is nearly pitch black is the biggest secret. I say nearly pitch black since you can faintly see some supports overhead that result in some of the most terrifying head choppers of any coaster, especially in light of the fact that you can actually touch the ceiling on the ride's first tunnel. You also have some stars projected on the ceiling to enhance the feeling of space, and while the ride doesn't have onboard audio, it does have speakers throughout the course that will get your adrenaline going. The other reason Space Mountain feels so fast is because of how compact the elements are. All of the turns are extremely tight, which is possible because of the short trains, and the drops have very abrupt pullouts. That is why this coaster shockingly pulls almost 4 Gs. One other thing that is pretty divisive about this ride is the smoothness or lack thereof. As I mentioned earlier, this Space Mountain is nearly 50 years old, and unlike the version at Disneyland that has had the track completely replaced, this Space Mountain still has the original track, so it is definitely a bit jerky, especially since you cannot see those turns coming. However, the extremely well-cushioned seats prevent any pain, so I enjoy the rough and tumble ride it provides. It is exceedingly rare to get a lights-on ride on Space Mountain, but I have been fortunate enough to have gotten one over the years. You either get a lights-on ride if Space Mountain breaks down, or in my scenario, the People Mover breaks down. The initial turns on Space Mountain aren't too crazy, but eventually, you speed towards this rapid ascent, and if you're up in the front car, you get a nice pop of airtime here. In the back, you only get a really faint pop, but you then spiral around a few more turns, and eventually you have another quick ascent back up. And again, if you're in the front car, you'll get another pop of airtime here. But don't worry, the next drop is one of many that will give a nice good bit of floater airtime if you're in the back car. You then wrap around a few more turns, then comes the best drop of the ride, the second one. It runs parallel to the lift, and it gives ejector pops of airtime in the back car. You then speed around a few more turns and go down the third drop, which gives you another decent pop of floater airtime. You then wrap around another quick turn and go down what I think is the largest drop of the ride. This one gives another really nice bit of floater airtime. You then wrap around a few turns and helixes towards the bottom of the dome. You go through these a bit faster than it looks like in this POV, especially because you can hear the rushing sounds of the music at this point of the ride. These helixes have decent forces to them, but these are the jerkiest bits of the ride because there's so many turns here. Eventually, you make your way into the final light tunnel, which is another instance where you can actually hit the ceiling if you try hard enough. You then return to the station. Once you unload, the long exit path takes you past a few space-related scenes. Originally, you had a moving walkway that would transport you, but that was removed in 2018, so now you have to walk. One last note is that Disney runs special overlays during the holidays on Space Mountain. For Halloween, this one operates as Deep Space Mountain, with all the lights and music turned off, which is a really creepy and ominous way to ride this attraction. For Christmas, the ride has a special overlay with holiday music and multicolored strobes. So what do I rate this Space Mountain? I would give the original version of this iconic ride an 8.5 out of 10. This is the perfect example how setting is everything. The darkness, near misses, and sound effects transform this coaster into something special. The drops in this coaster pack more of a punch than you'd expect and give genuine airtime. Just know it'll throw you around a bit, but that doesn't bother me because of those cushioned trains. This is probably my favorite version because this one focuses on drops, but I also love the versions at Disneyland and Disneyland Paris as well, since those rides excel in their own different ways. So those are my thoughts on Space Mountain at the Magic Kingdom. Have you ridden this ride? What is your favorite version of Space Mountain? I would love to hear what you think down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.